give my closing remarks just to put a bow on this. And to answer your question, Nana, one of Konstantinos's last points was that irrespective of what transpires in the moment of this debate, the reality is the gun crimes are going to exist. They're going to continue, and it will ultimately show, as I understand Konstantinos said, that the amnesty order did not strike a proportionate balance. Now, as I personally stand on this, I try my best also, as with Konstantinos within the legal profession, and also Nana in the legal profession, try to strike a very objective view of things. And my personal take is that the order was not proportionate. Obviously, you have civil liberties, not liberties, but you have civil recreational enjoyment versus public interest safety. The difficult thing with guns is the black market. It's not like comparing it to marijuana where you can instantly see the impact of violence here. My proposition that I'll leave with you all and our audience members is, and I know all of you have heard this suggestion, but for our audience members, in my opinion, inherently guns will always have this violence associated with it. They will always have a public interest threat. You'll never take that away from a gun. Why? A gun was made to maim, to kill, to injure. That was the inherent purpose of it. Fine. Yeah. So the way that you protect lawfully abiding gun owners, those who have purchased their property, those who we haven't even talked about our indigenous population under Section 35 of the Charter, those who have been hunting, albeit not through guns, it would have been through other means. But regardless, it is a cultural integrity of being part of Canadians. So the only way to protect them is, in my opinion, is to separate the guns that are capable of being converted into assault style, we'll call it assault style, from the guns that aren't. And the way you do that is by setting up a facility. You set up a facility where for those particular guns to be accessed, the gun owner cannot have those particular guns at home. They have to go to a facility to use them. The facility, it can be a third party. It doesn't have to be government controlled. They are the ones who are the gun deposit. You show your registered license. They give you your gun. You enter a premises. You use your gun lawfully. You give it back. You go home. The flaw in that, and Konstantinos and Dan really hit this on the nail on the head, is that illegal guns exist. So a gun, you by instituting this warehouse strategy that I proposed, whereas you divide the illegal guns versus the ones that, the problem is now you're depriving the legal gun owners from the ability to defend themselves. And this is the conundrum that can only be resolved by parliamentary debate, statistical research, which, as we've said, is lacking. So with that, any closing remarks or any final comments anyone wants to make?
Well, I've got two, and then after that, I mean, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to piggyback off a couple of things that you said. First off, I want to make it clear that, honestly, I'm quite indifferent about how this goes. But look, they say guns, people always say that guns are great for protection against other people with guns, right? Or they're great for protection against most kinds of violent crime. And I completely agree with that. But here's a question I'll ask you. If somebody really has an intention to kill you with a gun,
right,
you're not going to be able to defend yourself with a gun. And I'll tell you why. Because you'll be dead before you have a chance to pull your gun out. If they really want to kill you and somebody knows how to use a gun and they can come up behind you, they can come up in front of you, all they have to do is point, aim, and shoot, right? So if somebody's intent really is to kill, the likelihood or the probability that they will be able to successfully kill you with a gun before you are able to get to yours is quite high. So, I mean, while there is some debate or there's some logical arguments to be made there, it's a very, for me, it's threadbare, because like the truth is, if somebody really wants to kill you and they have a gun, they can.
So wait, I want to make sure I understand what your argument is here. Could you clarify what the argument in your statement is?
Okay, so basically, here's what I'm saying. Let's say I want to kill you, right? And I own a gun, right? And I come, and my intention is to kill you. So I find you wherever you are, I come to wherever you are with the intention to shoot you. If you have a gun on your person, I will be able, and I know how to use my gun, I will be able to kill you before you are able to get your gun out.
Okay.
So look, let me just break that down. First,
you're already an illegal gun owner at that point. So you're already the problem.
Hold on. So first of all, your argument is that if you own a gun and I own a gun, and your intention to kill me is, and your intention is to kill me, whether or not I own a gun, you'll be successful.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if I know how to use the gun, I know where you are, and I come at you with a gun, I will.
But what happens if you come to my house?
Well, then I would have to break and enter first, right?
Right. So if I'm a prudent and reasonable person who's responsible and knows how to take care of himself, which I think I do.
Yeah.
I always have, and I live in the country out here in California. I live in Bakersfield. If I show you the window, it's mountains in the back. So there's nobody in my backyard. But I still go through and lock the doors, and I always maintain a level of vigilance whenever I'm around, even in my own home, especially when I'm out in public.
Right.
So I always lock my doors, and I always have contingency plans.
Sure.
Now, I'm not going to make mention on whether I own any firearms in this house or not, but I can leave you rest assured that I do own and have possession of multiple other knives and other weapons in the house.
Yeah.
Okay? And they're all legally owned. I don't need a license or anything to own a pocket knife or a steak knife.
Yes.
Okay. So if someone is going to come into my house, and if I had a firearm in my home, regardless of whether it's for protection or for sport or for hunting, I can guarantee you that if I know that someone is attempting to break into my house at least, and into any prudent and reasonable gun owner who knows and is aware of how and exactly how to get to their firearm, whether it's already on their person or locked up and stored away, that the likelihood of you committing the crime that you wanted to commit is not going to be as high compared to someone who doesn't own a gun. Because
I agree.
You're saying that one force of violence, let's say the most deadly use of force, which is a firearm, for argument's sake, using a firearm is the deadly way of kill, is the most deadliest.
One of the most deadly
Okay.
ways.
So you're saying that it's not, it doesn't even make sense to have that to counter violence with violence in the same capacity.
I'm not saying that it doesn't make sense. What I'm saying is that if somebody's intent is to utilize a firearm to kill you, right? And they are able to, and they approach you with that intent, unless you have a significant barrier between yourself and them, the chances of them actually succeeding are far higher than with most other things, right? You can't stop. Let me put it this way: they say the only thing that can stop a man with a gun is a man with a gun, right? That's a pretty common saying. And what I'm saying is there are several scenarios in which that is simply not true. Okay, especially for the person who is the target.
So to develop your argument, you're saying that having a gun and wanting to kill someone and having a gun to do that makes it easier for someone. And because someone else might have a gun, or the potential victim might have a gun, it doesn't increase their probability of survival.
I'm saying it doesn't increase. I'm saying it does increase the probability of survival, but it doesn't increase it significantly enough
for them to even own the firearm.
So
I think that's silly.
Okay, that's a fair argument for you to make. But the point, but all I'm trying to say is, like
you kind of reiterate the whole, for lack of a better term, the idiocracy in that argument. You
Sure.
said it yourself. You said that your possibility of survival is higher, but still it's pointless to even have the firearm, regardless of that higher probability. So
yes.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense if you're using common sense or logic to say that a victim shouldn't have a firearm, because although the probability of survival is higher,
it's still inconsequential.
What's the point?
Well,
there's a chance of survival, and the chance is significantly higher than not having a firearm, doesn't it make sense to also have a firearm to protect yourself from that person?
No, it doesn't.